Hi everyone, welcome to this channel. In the previous session, we talked about the introduction to the Internet of Things, and then devices and endpoints of Internet of Things. Now you are going to know about the sensors and connectivity. In this session, you will talk about the what is a sensor, what are the different types of sensor, and then what is a sensor node, what is the difference between the sensor and sensor node, and then what are the different types of sensor nodes available, and then now you will talk about the internet communication. In the internet communication, which type of protocols you will use, and TCP, UDP, and IP, and then coming to the IP address. What is an IP address? What are the different types of IP address available, and then what is a MAC address, and then what is the difference between the IP address and MAC address, and finally you will talk about the TCP and UDP ports, and then application layer protocol. This is a simple concept regarding the unit 3. Thank you.
Okay, in this session, we are talking about the sensors and connectivity. Here in this sensors and connectivity, the sensors, what are the different types of sensors you are having? Here the sensors and then types of sensor nodes. Here the sensor node is a one type. In the sensor node consists of different sensors, different components are there sensor node. And then the internet communication. The internet, if it comes to the internet communication, you are going to know about the different TCP protocols. The protocols means set of rules. Here in this case, you are going to know about the TCP, UDP, IP protocols. Not only that one, you have to know about the TCP IP reference model. And then IP address. Here it is a logical address of the computer. IP address, two versions, IP version 4, IP version 6. IP version 4 consists of 2 power 32 addresses. That means it's having the 2 power 32 addresses. And then IP version 6, 2 power 128 addresses are there. And then coming to the MAC address, this is a physical address of the computer. And then we coming to the TCP ports are different ports are there, and then application layer protocol. That means we have a different so many different application layer protocols are HTTP, like that. So many different application layer protocols available in a Internet of Things. Here coming to the first important one. Here is a sensors. In the sensor, types of sensor nodes. The best thing here, sensor node. You have to know about the first, what is a sensor node? Sensor node, also known as a mode. Here, what is a mode here? Mode is a node in a sensor network. Here, the sensor network consists of different sensors, their communication. Wireless sensor networks are there. That means in the sensor network, you have to come one device or one IoT device communicate with another IoT device. For doing that one, you will form the sensor network. If you comes to the any networking concept here, first you have to form the network. In that network, you have to assign a different devices. After that, you have to performing the some applications. That is a thing. The network may be a LAN network. It's maybe here in this case you are having the internet network. Internet is a one network. And then what is the mode here? Mode is a sensor network that is capable of performing some processing, gathering sensor information, and communicating with other connecting nodes in a network here. Here it is a mode is a node that's having the capability that can processing. In order to processing, you require some controller. That means this sensor node having the controller, and then sensing capability. Here it's just what's are the sensing capabilities are there. Sensing capability in the sense retrieving the physical information, retrieving the physical information from the environment, and then it's having the communicating with other connected nodes in a network. Here this sensor node having the capability communicating with the other network, uh, other nodes, in the sense here it will sense a data from sensor node to other node, and then it will receive the data from the other different sensors or activities or with other IoT devices. Here one important thing here is a mode is a node, but node is not always mode. Why? Because all nodes not having the sensing capability, all nodes not having the communication capability, but each and every node having the processing capability. That's not a problem. But here, all nodes having the sensing capability, not communication capability, not having communication capability. That's the main reason. Mode is a, that means sensor node is a node, but node is not always sensor node. Any node is not always sensor node. That is a main difference. Here coming to the components of sensor node. Very important topic. If you see the right side diagram indicates the components of sensor node. Here it consists of all sensor nodes, any sensor node. It's having the microcontroller, transceiver, external memory, power source, and one or more sensors. What are the things here? Microcontroller. It's having the microcontroller, transceiver, external memory, power source, one or more sensors. That is a very important thing in a sensor node. These are all different components. Here in this case, here in the left hand side, you have a power source, and then top here transceiver is there. That means the coordinating, the brain of the node here is a microcontroller, and then it's having some external memory storing the data. Here it's having some sensor ADC, analog to digital converter is there. That is a different component. If you are coming to the first component, here is a controller. Here, what is the main task of controller here? The controller performs task, process the data, and controls the functionality of other component in a sensor node. Your main task here. Here, what is the main task of controller here? It will performing some task, always performing any task here. Here, the controller coordinate and control some other components in a system. That is a main. That's why it is a brain, the brain of a system controller. Here, the processes the data. Here, whatever may be the data getting from the other devices, it will process the data and controls the functionality of other components in a sensor node. While most common controller is a microcontroller. Other alternative that can be used as a controller are one is a general purpose desktop microprocess or digital signal process, FPGA, and gateway arrays, FPGA, field programming gateway arrays, ASIC boards, and then that is a thing. And coming to the controller is used in many embedded systems. Here, if you comes to the mobile phone, not only mobile phone here. If you comes to the washing machine, also it's will be consist of controllers. Here, washing machine, any embedded systems. Here, microcontroller used in embedded system, such as sensor nodes become its low cost, flexibility to connect with the other device, and then ease of programming and low power consumption. Because of all these reasons, you are using this sensor node. The general purpose microprocessor has a higher power consumption than the microcontroller. Microprocessor has a higher power consumption, and then therefore it is not considered suit for the size of sensor node. That means it is not suited. That means microprocessor is not suited. Here, wireless sensor network, the wireless communication is simpler. That means one mobile to another mobile communication very simpler, easy to process the modulation and signal processing task of say actual sensing data is less complicated. That means for this one, you are using some of the FPGA can be reprogrammed and reconfigured according to requirements. But this it takes more time and energy than the desired one. But here it is a simple, even though it is a simple, but it takes a more time. But by using this technology, and then that is a some information regarding the controller transceiver. Here, what is a transceiver? Here, sensor nodes make use of ISM band, which gives a free radio spectrum allocation and global availability. The possible choice of wireless transmission media are radio frequency, optical communication, laser communication, very lightweight communication, and then infrared communication, and then laser are very less energy. Here in this communication here, optical communication requires very less energy, but the line of sight for the communication and are sensitive to conditions. It is a very sensitive. Coming to the infrared communication is a like a laser communication needs no antenna, but it is limited in a broadcasting capability. Here in this case, the optical communication having the broadcasting communication, and then but here infrared less communication. It's not having the, that means it is a limited in a broadcasting communication. Here transceiver, the radio frequency based communication is most relevant that fits most of the wireless sensor application. The functionality of both the transceiver and receiver are combined into a single device called as a transceiver. Here in this case, transmitter is there, receiver is there. Here that means both functionality. What is the functionality of transmitter and then receiver? The all functionalities combined in a single device, that is a transceiver. That means it will receive the data, it will transmit the data by using only one device. And then transceivers lack of unique identities. But here transceiver not having the lack of unique identities. The operational states are transmit, receive, idle, sleep. That means the transceiver, that's different performing different state. It will transmit the data to the other devices, and then it will receive the data to the other devices. If not having any work, it goes to the idle state. If it is a, that means sometimes it is in a sleeping state. The current generation now transceiver have built-in state machine that perform some operation automatically. That is a transceiver. Here coming to the third part here is a external memory. The external memory here is a, from an energy perspective, the most relevant kind of memory are the on-chip memory of microcontroller and flash memory, and off-chip RAM is rarely used here. Here, three types of memory, the relevant memories are there. On-chip memory of microcontroller. That means the microcontroller itself has some memory. Here, internal memory, flash memory, off-chip RAM memory is used. The flash memory here, the flash memory is used due to their cost and storage capability. And then memory requirements are very much application dependent. Here, if your application size is large, that means you require more memory. Depends upon the application, you are taking the memory. That means two categories of memories based on the purpose of storage. Here, what are the two categories in this case? One is a user memory, other one is a program memory you are using. Here, user memory. What is a user memory? User memory used for storing application related or personal data. Here, whatever may be the application related data. Any application. For example, in your mobile, so many apps are there. Here, for corresponding application related data, you will store in a user memory, or you may store your personal data also. That is called here user memory. In this case, program memory What is the program memory here? The program memory used for programming the device. Here the program memory also contains the identification data of a device if persists, if present. Here that is a thing, the program memory. That means programming the device. That means for programming the device, you are using the program memory. The program memory also contains the identification, the identification of the data. Here coming to the power source, another important component here is a power source. The wireless sensor node is popular solution when it is difficult or impossible to run main supply to sensor node. Since the wireless sensor network is placed in a hard to reach location, here is some, here placing a some location, changing the battery regularly can be costly and inconvenient. An important aspect in the development of wireless sensor network is ensuring that there is always energy available to power the system. Here I am having the, for example, let us assume mobile phone is there. How can you power the mobile phone? By using battery. Here what is the important thing here? An important aspect in the development of wireless sensor network is ensuring that there is always energy available to the power system. But here, what is another thing here? Wireless sensor network is placed in a hard to reach location. That means where we cannot open that battery. In that place, you are why you are placing that here? Charging battery regularly can be costly and inconvenient. That is the main reason here. You are placing the battery in a hard to reach location. Here very difficult to reach that particular location. Same thing here. If you go to the your mobile phone, if that means battery in a some hard to reach location. The sensor node consumes power for sensing, communicating, data processing, and more energy required for data communication than any other processes. Here that is a sensor node. What are the tasks of sensor node here? The sensor node always consumes, takes a power for sensing. Sensing in the sense, already I explained the concept here. Sensing in the sense taking the external parameters, the physical parameter from the environment. The physical parameters may be temperature, humidity, pressure. Like that, you have a different physical parameter, and then communicating, data processing. More energy is required for data communication than any other processes. For communicating data from one node to or one device to other device, it required more processing. That is a main reason you are using the power. And then coming to the another last and final component in this sensor node here is a sensors. Here the sensor node consists of different sensor. Here what is a sensor here? Sensor measures some physical quantity. You know physical quantity, temperature, humidity, water is a physical quantity, and convert that measurement in measurement reading, that measure into a digital representation, or it may convert the electrical representation. That digital representation is passed to another device for transformation into useful data that can be consumed by intelligent devices or human. The sensors are not limited to the human, like a sensory data. Here, that is a main purpose of you are using the sensor node in this sensor data. And then the sensors provides a superhuman sensory capability, more than human. Here, the sensors can be embedded in any physical objects that are easy connected to internet by wired or wireless network. They can be interpreted their environment and make intelligent decision. That is a simple representation of sensors. Very important topic in this case. Here, sensor used in a wireless sensor network to capture data from their environment Here for capturing the data. That means most probably these sensor nodes always will used in a wireless sensor networks. Here the different IoT devices are there. That means without wire, you are connecting the different IoT devices. These IoT devices communicating without wire. They are hardware devices that produce a measurable response to change in a physical condition, that's a temperature and then pressure. And then this also having the sensors also having the analog signal. The analog signal produced by the sensor is digitalized by the analog to digital converter, analog to ADC, and sends to controller for processing. Here the sensor takes a data and then it sends to the processing. Some of the sensors contains necessary electronics to convert the raw signal into readings, which can be retrieved via a digital link. Here the digital link may be some of the interfaces are there in the Raspberry Pi or some IoT devices. I2C, SPI, serial peripheral interface. Some of the interfaces, with the help of these interfaces, that means that means some of the sensor contain necessary electronics to convert the raw signal into readings, which can be retrieved via this SPI. Most sensor nodes are small in size, consume little energy, operate in high volume of data, and then be autonomous and then operate unattended and be adaptive to the environment. That is a simple description about the sensor node. Here, the very important thing we will discuss later. In the next class, we will discuss about the different classification of sensor nodes. Here, these are all different classification. The next class, we will discuss about this classification and then types of sensor node, types of sensors, and then types of sensor nodes. Okay, thank you. Okay, good morning. In the previous session, we discussed about the sensor node and then what are the components of sensor node. Now we are going to know about the sensor, different types of sensor, and then different categories of sensor nodes. Here, coming to the sensor node, that means you will know the sensor node is a mode. Here, also known as a mode. Here it is a node in a sensor network. Here, what are the special? If you see here, right side diagram, there is a wireless sensor network. Here it is connected to the internet. Some nodes are there. If you see here, the sensor node, different sensor nodes available here. The user connected to the internet. From the internet here, sensor nodes. Here, what is the capability of sensor node in this case? The capability of sensor node used for processing sensor information and then communication. Here that is a capability of sensor node. Here it is used for performing some processing and gather the information and communicate with other connected nodes in a network. Here in this case, mode is a node, but node is not a mode. Why? Because mode in the sense a sensor node. The sensor node having some features. What are the future? Processing features, sensor information, communication features are there. But here node does not. That's why mode is a node, but node is not a mode. Here components of sensor node. Here what are the different components for the sensor node? Already discussed those components: microcontroller, transceiver, external memory, power source, one or more sensor nodes. If it comes to the controller here, what are the specialty of controller? Controller performs tasks, processing data, and then controls functionality of other components in a sensor node. Here it will controls the other component functionality, while most of controllers is a microcontroller. Here that can be used as a controllers or general purpose desktop processor or digital signal or FPGA and S6. Here these are all different information about the controllers. Okay, we will discuss already discussed that information. The wireless control network. How can you use this particular controllers? Here coming to the second important one, transceiver. The transceiver is a sensor node. Here this one also one of the it's a one component in a sensor node. Here sensor node make use of ISAM band, which gives a free radio spectrum allocation and global availability. The wireless transmission media are some of the media is there: radio frequency, optical communication, and then infrared. Here this is a that means open your transceiver. That means it will transmit, receive, idle, sleep states. It's performing a different state. The transmit and receive both together in a one place. That is called here transceiver. Here coming to the external memory. Here from energy perspective, the most relevant kind of memory are on-chip memory of the microcontroller, on-chip memory, and then flash memory, RAM memory. These are all different memories. Here, if it comes to the flash memories, are used due to their cost and storage capability. The memory requirements are very much application dependent. That means the requirements of memory depends upon your application. Based on your application, based on your application size, then you will selecting the memory. And then two categories of memory based on the purpose of storage are user memory and then program memory. User memory for storing the application related personal data. Program memory used for programming the devices. The program memory consists of identification data of other devices. Here, this is a some information regarding the external memory. This is one of the components in a sensor node. And then power source. If it comes to the power source, the left hand side, you will identify the one of the component power source. Here, wireless sensor node is a popular solution when it is difficult to run that means to sensor node. Here, why was difficult here? Why is it difficult here or impossible to run a main supply to the sensor node? However, since wireless sensor nodes placed in a hard to reach location, that means what is the need here? That means the power source in a sense battery. Battery is a if you comes to the mobile phone, you are placing the battery in a hard to reach location, very difficult to reach location. Changing the battery regularity can be costly and inconvenient. The power source, there is always adequate energy available to the power source system. The sensor node consumes power for, that means different purposes. The sensor node will consume power for sensing, communicating, data processing. For these purposes, the sensor node will consume some power. More energy is required for the data communication than any other processes. Here, communicating data from one node to another node. If you want to transfer the data from one node to another node, it requires more power compared to the sensing, communication, and then different things. And then the another important component here, the last and final component in a sensor node, sensor. Here, what is a sensor here? Sensor measures the physical quantity. If you see here, the right diagram identifies the different kinds of sensor. What are the different kinds of hardware sensor? What is the specialty of this sensor here? Sensor always measures the some physical quantity and convert that measurement reading into a digital representation. Here it takes the physical quality, it takes the temperature, convert it into whatever may be the required. That is the digital representation. That is a sensor, and then the digital representation passed to another device for transformation into useful data that can be consumed by intelligent device or humans. Here it will pass to the another device. What is the need here in order to getting the transformation into useful data? in order to getting the transformation into useful data that can be consumed by the intelligent devices or human. Sensors are not limited to human like a sensor data. Here, these sensors are human like a sensor data. And then the sensors provide a superhuman sensory capability. Here, the sensor can be embedded in any physical object that are easily converted to the internet by wired or wirelessness network. The sensors can interpret their environment and make intelligent decision. Interpret the environment in the sense it takes the humidity, converted it into some form of information. That form of information transferred to the other devices. For getting the useful information or for making the intelligent decision, you are using this number of sensors. Here the sensors used by wireless sensor networks to capture the data from their environment. If you see the first diagram, that is called here wireless sensor network. That wireless sensor network consists of n number of sensor nodes. Here, what is the necessity of n number of sensor nodes here? Capture the data from an environment. They are these sensors may be hardware devices that produce a measurable response to change physical condition like a temperature. That means if you want to change the physical condition, you are using the temperature, pressure. If you want to change the pressure, you are using the this type of sensor. This type of sensor. Here, some of the sensors consist of necessary electronics. That means the sensor having the necessary electronics to convert the raw signal into readings. Here, any raw signal into reading which can be retrieved via digital link. That means that may be a interface I2C SPI. Most sensor nodes are small in size. Here, all different sensor nodes are small in size. For example, if you see here, these are all sensor nodes. These are all sensors. Here, this sensor small in size and consumes little energy, operate in high volumetric densities. Here, that means those are in small size, but work is more. And then the sensors are classified into three categories. And that means based on different things, you are divided into categories, different categories. One is a passive, other one is a active sensor. Passive sensor mali omnidirectional sensor, narrow beam sensor, and active sensor. Here coming to the first one, passive sensor. What is a passive sensor? The passive sensor sends the data without actually manipulating the environment by active probing. That is a passive sensor. That means without manipulating the environment by active probing, they are self-powered. That is energy is needed to amplify their analog signal. That means sometimes you require amplify the analog signal. You are using this type of sensor. Coming to the active sensor. Active sensor probe, that means actively probe the environment. For example, a sonar or radar sensor. They require continuous energy from a power sources. For these purposes, you are using the active sensor. That means the that means the continuous monitoring, the continuous energy, the continuous required continuous energy. Such cases, sonar, radar systems, you are using this active sensor. The narrow beam sensor, it is a passive sensor, have a well-defined here a direction measurement. Here notion direction measurement similar to the camera. That means the narrow beam is a similar to the camera here. The motion not a n and notion motion of the direction of measurement. And then omni directional sensors have a no motion direction. That is a thing. And coming to the different types of sensor, the sensor type, these are all categories. In the category, some of the sensors are active sensors, some of the sensors are passive sensor. Based on the certain types, different types of sensors are there. Here, what are the different types of sensor? You are using a IoT system. Here, temperature sensor, not limited to the temperature sensor, positional sensor, and then occupancy motion sensor, and then velocity acceleration sensor, and then force sensor, pressure sensor, and then flow data, not a data flow, water flow sensor, like the different flow sensor, acoustic sensor, humidity sensor, and then light sensor, and then radiation sensor, and then chemical, and so on. These are all different types of sensor available. This may be a, some of the sensors may be passive sensor, some of the sensors may be active sensor. Coming to the first kind of sensor, here is a temperature sensor. Here it is used to measuring, that means taking the temperature, converted into digital format. Here if you see the right side diagram, you are available the different types of temperature sensor. The temperature sensor measures the amount of heat or cold that is present in a system. That means in order to measuring the amount of heat, that means always taking the heat. The sensor always taking the heat, and or sometimes some of the sensor taking the cold present in a system and converted into digital format. Here that heat converted in digital format, that means not only converting the digital format, converting in digital format and send the data into some other device for understanding the human, for useful for the human or useful for some other purposes. Here the temperature sensor broadly classified into two types: contact temperature sensor, non-contact temperature sensor. Here coming to the first type of sensor, here is a contact sensor type sensor. Contact temperature sensor. The contact temperature sensor need to be in physical contact with object being sensed. Here, with the help for the physical contact, you are using this type of sensor. And then non-contact sensor. Non-contact sensor do not need a physical contact. That means without, for example, contact sensor in the sense you need a physical contact, but here it's not, no need of the physical contacts. Do not need the physical contact. Non-contact sensor, they measure the temperature by using convection and radiation. By using convection and radiation, that means no need of contact. Without no need of contact, you are measuring the different temperature information. Thermometer is a one type of sensor. Calorimeter, temperature gauge. Here, these are all different example for the sensor. Thermometer. Most probably, you know the thermometer. In the thermometer, you will identify this type of sensor for measuring the temperature. For measuring the temperature of human. Here, thermometer. And then coming to the position sensor. Here, what is a position sensor? The position sensor measures the position of an object. The position, where it is, the position of an object. The position measurement can be either absolute position or relative position. Absolute in the sense, absolute value. For example, exact place. Relatively. For example, best example I am telling you, absolute number, relative number. The absolute number of 2.3, that's a 2. Absolute, the relative is a relative may be different. 2.2 in the sense 2.2. Here, the position measurement can be either an absolute term or it may be a relative term. Absolute term in the sense it's having the absolute position sensor. The displacement for this one, the relative term, you are using the displacement sensor. Here, the position sensors can be a linear, angular, or multi-axis. For example, these are all different examples for the positional sensor. Proximity sensor, potentiometer, inclinometer. These are all different examples for the position sensor. Here coming to the occupancy motion sensor. Here the occupancy motion sensor detect the presence of people and animals in the surveillance area. The presence here, the what are the people existed in this particular area. If it comes to the position, it will identify the position. CC camera, CC camera also you are using the position sensor or occupancy sensor. The presence of people and animal in the area. While motion sensor detect the motion of the people in a object. What is the main difference between occupancy sensor and motion sensor? The occupancy sensor here generate a signal. That means occupancy sensor will generate a signal even the person is in stationary, while motion sensor will not. Here, for example, occupancy in the sense if a person is sit there or he will stand there without motion. But the occupancy sensor will generate a signal. But whereas the motion sensor cannot generate the signal. If a person is in idle state, here it will not generate a signal. That is the difference between. That means both are identifying the presence of the people, animal. For example, electronic eye, radar, these two are the occupancy motion sensor. Here identify the this is a occupancy sensor. Velocity acceleration sensor. Here important one, velocity acceleration sensor. Here velocity in the sense speed of motion. Here that is a speed of motion. Here this velocity sensor may be linear, angular, indicating how fast an object moves. How fast an object moves along with a straight line, or how fast it rotates. That means it will identify the fastness of an object, the fastness of object along with the straight line, or the fastness of object. That means rotation. How much fast the object rotates. That kind of information identified by the velocity sensor. Acceleration sensor measure the changes in a velocity, the change value in a velocity. For example, accelerometer, gyroscope. These two are the velocity sensors. Important one here is a force sensor. Here, what is a force sensor? The force sensor always force. That means physical force is applied. Whether the that means identify the whether physical force applied or not. Whether the magnitude of the force is beyond the threshold or not. Here, for identifying those factors, the physical force, whether this physical force applied or not, or whether this the magnitude of force is beyond the threshold. That means threshold in the sense, for example, you are giving some value. For example, the threshold. For example, I am giving the salary for the threshold more than. For example, I am giving the taking the 2 lakhs salary for the threshold. For example, in India, what is the threshold here? The salaries of all employees less than the president salary. Less than this president salary. Is it correct or not? That means, for example, the president salary 2 lakhs. If all government employees salary beyond that range, what is the threshold here? 2 lakhs is a threshold. When the threshold, you will do the physical force applied and the magnitude force are beyond the threshold. For example, force gauge, and then for example tactile sensor, that means touch sensors. These are all different types of sensor. Coming to the pressure sensor. The pressure sensor related to the force sensor and measures the force applied by gases. Whatever measure, that means will you identify the difference here? Force sensor in the sense a physical force, but here gas, the pressure sensor just like a pressure cooker. That means identify the force. Here the pressure sensor related to the force sensor. That means I think that measures the force applied by the liquids and then gases. The pressure is measured in terms of force per unit area. That is a pressure sensor. For example, for the barometer, Bowden, Bowden gauge, piezometer, these are all pressure sensor. Just like a force sensor, pressure cooker. In the pressure cooker, you apply the pressure sensor. Then it will get a whistle. Flow sensor. The flow sensor detect the rate of fluid flow. That means water flow, fluid flow. Like that, in order to getting the flow of a fluids, you will use a flow sensor. Here they measure the volume, mass flow, or rate flow velocity of fluid. The fluids mass flow, fluid flow velocity measured by using flow sensor. Here the flow sensor has a passed via a system in a given period of time. For example, anemometer, mass flow sensor, water meter. Water meter. Here the diagram indicates the water meter. The flow, water flow meter. This is a flow sensor, acoustic sensor. Acoustic sensor measures the sound levels and convert that information into digital or analog signal. For example, microphone, geophone, hydrophone, like that. These are all different acoustic. Whatever may be the voice that converted into the information into digital image, digital or analog signal. That is, a, for example, sometimes acoustic, echo voice sometimes. Whatever may be the voice you delivered by you, that's comes into your ear. That's called here echo voice. The acoustic sensor measure the sound levels. Whatever may be the sound levels, that levels it converts the sound level and converted into information. Into the convert the information into digital or analog signals. Here these are all different example for the acoustic sensor. Humidity sensor. Humidity sensor detect the humidity in the air or mass. Humidity, that means amount of water vapor, amount of water vapor in a air. The humidity levels can be measured in various ways. Absolute humidity, relative humidity, mass ratio, and so on. For example, hydrometer, humidimeter, soil moisture sensor, soil wet, identifying the wet levels. You will use a soil moisture sensor. That means in a soil, the wet level, for identifying the wet level, you will use a soil sensor and then light sensor. Here, right side diagram indicates the light sensor. What is the specialty of light sensor? Detect the presence of light, visible or invisible. Identifying the visibility of particular light. In order to identify the visibility of particular light, you are using the light sensor. That means so many projects you are using the IR sensor, infrared sensor, photo detector sensor, flame detector sensor, like that. These are all are example for the light sensor, radiation sensor. Here, radiation sensor detects the radiation in your environment. Here, that means radiation. Identify if you comes to the factor is the radiation, a high level radiation is there. In particular cases, you are using the radiation sensor can be sensed by the some detection. For example, these are a different example for the sensors. Here coming to the chemical sensor. The chemical sensor measures the concentration of the chemicals in a system. Here, this may be subject to target down type. For example, CO2 sensor sense the only carbon dioxide. For example, for the different example for the chemical sensors, these are all chemical smoke detector is a chemical sensor. It detecting the smoke in a environment. Here, the very important thing in this case, the sensor node types. Here, the sensor nodes divided into 4 different groups. Here, the sensor nodes classified into 4 different groups. What are the 4 different groups here? A specialized sensing node, generic sensing node, high bandwidth sensing node, gateway node. These all the 4 different categories are not a categories here, groups, divided into different groups. Here come to the specialized sensing node. Here, what is a specialized sensing node? A smart specialized sensing nodes are preferred for special purpose devices. Here, intelligent generic sensing node preferred for generic function. For connectivity and function, high-end smart bandwidth sensing nodes and then gateway nodes are preferred here. What is the specialty here? A smart specialized sensing nodes are preferred for a special purpose devices. Here for the special purpose devices, you are utilizing these specialized sensing nodes. Coming to the generic sensing nodes, intelligent generic sensing nodes preferred for generic function. For the generating the different generic functions, here you are using this generic sensing nodes, and then high bandwidth sensing node, cluster head. It is a cluster head is a high bandwidth sensing node used for performing data fusion, data aggregation functions in a wireless sensor network. Based on a system requirement application, there will be more than one cluster head inside the cluster. That is a thing here. The high bandwidth sensing node. Coming to the last and final one, here is a gate node. Here for interconnectivity functions, high-end smart bandwidth sensing node and gateway nodes are preferred for interconnectivity functions. For the interconnectivity, if any node is in fail, that means is in wireless sensor network fails. If any node in a network fail to exchange data with other nodes, it should be informed with delay to the base station or gateway node. Here, that means for this purpose, for informing, for example, some nodes failed in a network. How can you get that information? By using this gateway node. These are all different sensor nodes categories. Here, the references, you will go to the Wikipedia. Okay, thank you. Good morning. In the previous session, you discussed about the different types of sensors. What is a sensor node? What are the components of sensor node? And then what are the different categories of sensor? And then different categories of sensor nodes. How can you apply this sensor node to Internet of Things? That is the one. In the main concept in the Internet of Things, internet communication. Why? Because each and every computer device is having the internet connection, and then you require some identification number. That means each and every IoT device is having IP address. Here, how can you these devices communicating from? That means how can you transferring the data from one device to another device, and then one computer to another computer? That means that is a main important thing in this IoT devices in the IoT systems. That means the communication is very important. Here, which type of communication? That one, internet communication. Here, in the networking, a communication protocol or network protocol is a special type of set of. That means the specification of set of rules for particular type of communication. Here, how can you represent the protocol here? The protocol means a set of rules and conventions. You require some convention. You have to frame the rules from communicating. You have a different protocols are there for communicating one device to another device or one computer to another computer. TCP protocol, UDP protocol, IP protocol, HTTP protocol. In the real world, you have a different types of protocols are there. Here in the networking, a set of rules for particular type of communication. You are framing the set of rules that is called here communication protocol or network protocol. Here different types of protocols you are describing here for single communication. Here that forms a protocol stack. Here you have a different communications are there. This diagram shows the different communications from the, that means from the different domains, from the different communication, how they are establishing the communication from one data, one computer to another computer, or computer to mobile phone, or computer to one IoT device to another IoT device. That is a very important thing. Here you have a different protocols describe different aspects of simple communication. This forms a protocol stack. The protocol stack consists of different protocols. That means the protocol stack divided into different layers. In the internet communication, you are using a TCP/IP layer protocol. Here we have a 4 different TCP/IP layer protocols are there: link layer protocol, network layer protocol, transport layer protocol, application layer protocol. That means application layer protocols are there. These are all are used to establishing a communication between different IoT devices. The protocol and protocol stack refers to a software that implements the protocol. Here you are telling that it is a protocol stack. What is the meaning here? That is a simply call it as a protocol, or it is simply call it as a software. The networks by using protocol called it as a TCP/IP, and then that means transmission control protocol or internet protocol. Here the internet works based on a which type of protocols here? Main important protocols are TCP and then IP. That's why it is a TCP/IP protocol suite. Is it clear? The internet always works by using the two different protocols, TCP and then IP. TCP/IP is a communication language of internet. The TCP and IP allows a one computer to talk to other computer via internet by using some packets of data and sending that packets of data to the right location. That is the important thing in a TCP and then IP here. Here it is used to establishing the one computer to another computer by using internet. The middle, let us assume the middle globe indicates the internet. Here you are connecting the different computers, one computer to another computer. That means you are connecting the different computer by using internet. That means and then sending a packets from one location to another location, sending a packets to one location to another location. That is a many important thing. And then the main important protocols here is the TCP and IP designed to be used together and referred as a TCP/IP protocol suite. That means it consists of protocol suite different layers. Here one is a application layer. Here one is a link layer. Other one is a network layer. Other one is a transport layer. Other one is a application layer. These are all different layer. Here this particular layer consists of link layer consists of Ethernet, Wi-Fi, and then network layer consists of IP, TCP, and UDP. And then coming to the application layer, very important protocol layer here is application layer protocol: HTTP, POP3, SMTP, MQTT, DNS server, and then DHCP. These are all different protocols. Here, the communication internet includes the main important protocol in this case, internet protocol, and then transmission control protocol. These two are the important protocol. Other than these two, you will use in the TCP/IP stack. You have a UDP protocol is there for establishing the communication. That means most probably you are not using that one, the communication, and then HTTP and then FTP. Here, if it comes to the protocol, internet protocol, the first important one, the internet protocol. Here, what is the internet protocol? Internet protocol is a network layer protocol. Here, the internet stands for, that means IP stands for internet protocol. Here, this is a protocol defined in a TCP/IP model used for sending packets from source to destination. Here there is a source address, source computer is there that's having the one IP address. IP in the sense internet. That each and every computer having a IP address. Internet protocol address is there. The unique number. That unique number, by using unique number, you can easily identify the source as well as the, or simply call it as a client as well as the server system. Here, the TCP IP model, it is existed in a TCP IP model. Where it is existed, here it's a network layer. The network layer, it is existed. And then in this layer, you have a IP is there. Here you are using the two different IP versions are there. IP version 4 and then IP version 5. IP version 4 having the 2 power 32 different addresses. IP version 6 advanced one 2 power 128 different addresses are there. IP version 6. That is a important thing. And then it is a protocol defined in a TCP IP model used for sending a packet from source to destination. Here, the main task of IP is deliver the packets from source to destination. Here, it is sending a packets from one client system to another client system based on the IP address available in a packet header. The packet header, we will discuss later about the what is a header. The internet protocol header, based on the packet header, you are sending data. And then another important one here is a IP defines a protocol structure that hides the data which is to be delivered as the addressing method that labels the datagram with source and destination information. That's a important thing here. It's having the each and every IP having the packet structure. Packet structure consists of header data is there, source information is there, and then destination information is there. That means in this way you have a addresses are there. In this way, you will identify the source as well as the destination addresses. Here, IP protocol provides a connectionless service, which is accomplished by the transport layer protocols. Here, TCP IP and UDP IP. That means these two protocols, TCP works with the IP, and then UDP also works with the IP here. Here, the TCP takes the some information from the network layer, application layer, and transform that information into IP. And then so internet protocol is known as a TCP IP or UDP IP. Here, that is an important thing. And then the functions of internet protocol. Here we have a three functions of internet protocol is there. That means encapsulating the data into packet structure, routing the data from the source to destination across the one or more IP networks, providing the addressing to the host. Here, these are all main important tasks. Encapsulation of data into packet structure. Here, combining the data, that means the source address, destination address, and then some of the components are there. Here, source, destination, as well as some other information. The header related information, as well as that means here data as well as the header related information combined into packet structure. That's why this is called here encapsulation process. And then routing the data from source to destination. The second important thing here is a data routing. Here encapsulation of data, that means header related information. The second important task here, routing the data from source to destination across the one or more IP networks. And then finally providing the addressing to the different hosts. Main important task, these three are, we will discuss next about these three tasks: encapsulation of data and header, and then routing the data from one place to another place, and then providing the addresses. And then to achieve this type of functionalities of IP provides two major things which are given below. What are the two major things here? You are going to know about the format of the IP address and then format of the IP packet. That means encapsulation of the first important one, data, encapsulation of data into packet structure. Here, the packet structure, encapsulation of data. Data, how can you encapsulation data? The packet structure consists of header and data. Here, if you comes to the IP data is there, and then header is there. Here, how can you represent the header related information? The first one, encapsulation of data into IP structure. How can you encapsulation the data? For encapsulation of data, you have a data as well as a header structure is there. Here, what is a header structure here? Here, IP headers contains information about the IP packet, which includes what are the information: source IP address, destination IP address, header length, packet length, TTL, time to live, and then transport protocol, and then data or payload. Here, these are all different components, different information, the information about the IP header. At the time of encapsulation of data, here you are doing this one. What is the source address? The source address in the sense, that means the source is the one who is sending the data. That means a person in the right diagram we have the source address. Here who is sending the data? That means client data. The client always sending the data to the server. Client data. Let us assume the destination IP address. The destination IP address in the sense, destination is a host that receives the data from the sender. Receives the data from the sender. Always the destination IP address receives the data. That means for the IP address, you require this component. And then length of the header. What is the length? The total length you are having. The flags and the fragment offset. You are counting as a total length. And then packet length. Here you are including the packet length information also. And then TTL. TTL means time to live. The number of hops occurred before the packet gets discarded. That's called here TTL. In the right side diagram, you will identify the TTL related information. The transport protocol. The protocol is there, the transport protocol. The transport protocol used by internet protocol, either it can be TCP or UDP. There is a total of 14 fields exist in a IP address. One of them is optional. That means we have a different fields are there, but I am telling you only important fields here. And then another one is a data. Data, that means payload. Payload is a data that is to be transported from source to destination via routing path. By using routing path, you will information. That means the routing is one of the function. Here, what are the function? You completed the first function, encapsulation of data into packet structure. Here, you are encapsulating the data into packet structure. The next important one, routing the data from the source to destination across the one or more IP networks. Here, the next important thing, that one, IP routing. Here, what is a IP routing? Here, the IP routing in the sense, the IP routing is a process of determining the path from source to destination for the data. Here, if you see here, you have that means IP works with UDP as well as the TCP. Here, for example, one computer is there, it is sending some data. Now, let us assume this one is a client. Here, it is done by using routing. That means the IP routing done by the router. Here, router. That means here also TCP you are using. Here, source to destination for the data. Data is divided into multiple packets in this case. Each packet will pass using web of the router until it reaches the final destination. Here, the destination is a computer B, computer A, and then computer B. You are going to reaching the destination. For doing this routing, you have a different kinds of routing algorithms existed. Here, what are the different? So many different types of routing algorithms existed in a network layer. Here, the path from source to destination for the data is determined by the routing algorithm. That means the routing algorithm considers the various factors like the size of the packet, its header to determine the efficient route for the data from the source to destination. That means determine the efficient route. That always it consider the what is the consideration for the algorithm? Algorithm always take the route. What is the shortest route? That means you have to get the shortest route and then route for the data from the source to destination. What is the path? And then it's considered the size of the packet as well as the path. And then when data packet reaches some router, then the source address and destination address are used with the routing table determine the next hop address. Here, that is a important thing. This process continue until it reaches the destination. Here, in this case, data is divided into multiple packets. So, all packets will travel to reach the destination. That is a IP routing. Here in this IP routing, router here you're using the router here. Router is a networking device that forwards the data packets between a computer networks. In this case, the router perform a traffic uh, direction functions on the internet. Here, data sent using internet such as web pages, emails in the form of data packets. Here, always you are sending the data. One computer client to sir, how can you send the data? Any web pages or any kind emails in the form of data packet. Here in this case, packet is forwarded from one router to another router by using networks that's having the internet work or internet until it reaches the destination node. That is the important thing in a router. Your router is connected to two or more data lines from the different IP networks. Here, it's always reads the network address information in the packet address to determine the destination. The router always reads the network address information. By using this information, it routes the table routing policy and it directs the packet to next network on the journey. That is the important one in the IP routing. That means it's a most that means the most familiar type of IT routers are home or office routers that forwards IP address, IP packets between a home computer to in the internet. More sophisticated routers are there. Enterprise routers connect large business or ISP networks. Here, this is a something about the some functionality. Here, that means three functionalities are there. What are the three functionalities of IP? The first functionality, encapsulation of data. Second functionality, routing, performing the routing. Here, the third functionality here, addressing the IP. The functionality, third about functionality in this case here is a address, providing the addresses. Here, what are the addresses here? The different information is there. Addressing in the sense IP address. IP address in the sense uniquely identifying the system, uniquely identify any device you are using the IP address. IP address is a software. Software or it is a some number. It's a logical address. It is a logical address that is called here IP address. Here you have a different IP addresses are there. Public IP address and then private IP address. Here the public IP address. The public IP address also known as a external address. They are grouped under the WAN address. You also define the public address as a way to communicating outside the network. That is a public IP address. 192.168. Some 2.0.3. Like that, you have a different addresses are there. And then public address also known as external address. Already you know. And then this address is assigned by the internet service provider. Here, the internet service provider provides an address. It is not available for the free of cost. You can get public IP by typing on Google. Here, coming to the next one, private address. The private address also known as a internet address. Here, it is a group under the LAN address. It is used to communicate with the network. These addresses are not routed on the internet so that no traffic can come from the internet to this private address. The private address always What is the need of private address here? Private address also known as the internal address. It is a group under the LAN address. Here, how can you establish the communication here by using? It's not a router. That means this these addresses are not routed on the internet. So the traffic can come from the internet to this private address, and then its scope is local. As you communicate within a network only. It is used for creating the local area network. That means the private address always used to creating the local network, and then the private address available free of cost. You can get to know the private address by simply typing the iconfigure on the command line. If you want, for example, I want to communicate the private address. How can you communicate the private address? I want to type, yeah, go to command prompt, and then if you comes to the command prompt, if you type iconfigure, if you type the iconfigure, Windows IP configuration is there. Here it will shows the IP address related information, the wireless LAN network IP version 4 address. The that means it's having the some IP version 6 address. This is one, and then subnet mask is there, and then gateway. Here like that, you are having the, that means what is the thing here? You can get to know about the private address by simply typing the IP configure on the command prompt. Then you will identify the this particular IP address related information. That is a important thing. And then IP address is a, what is an IP address in this case? Unique identifier assigned to the computer in a computer. But then you are assigning the IP address to the computer, which is connected to the internet. Each IP address consists of series of characters. Like for example, it's a handle characters. Here, if you represent this one in a binary format, also you will represent the IP address. And then 192.168.1.2. The user cannot access the domain name of each website which with the help of these characters. For example, you cannot, for example, Google address is there. For example, 8.8.8. Like that, that is very difficult to remember the numbers. That's why for the domain name, so DNS resolvers are used to convert the human readable format. Here, that's why you are using the DNS, domain name server. For example, if you give 192.168. For example 2.3, that's having some special name. It's converted into like a google.com. That means it is easy to understand the human. Here, that is a human readable domain names into series of characters. That means not in numbers, series of characters. That's why you are using DNS server. DNS server, that is the main important role in a the main important role of DNS server. That's one. That is a something about internet protocol. Here, this IP packets, two addresses are there. IP addresses of device which is sending packet, and the IP address of device which is receiving packet. Here, basically two types of IP addresses are there: IP version 4, IP version 6. That means you will discuss later about the all two versions. That means there is a concept is there. What is IP version? What is IP version 2? IP version 3? IP was not IP version 3, IP version 4. After that, you have a IP version 6 coming to the market, which has been increasingly used for public internet since 2006. That is the references. You will see these references here: Wikipedia, Java Tip Point, like that. You have some references are there. Okay, sensors and connectivity. In the previous session, you completed the what is a sensor, what is a sensor node, the components of sensor node, and then how can you establish the connectivity between different components. Here, in the sensor node, you discussed about this concept, and then coming to the next important one, internet communication. Here, if it comes to the internet communication, you have a great idea. That means internet protocols. previously discussed about the internet protocol. What is the internet protocol, and then what are the advantages of internet protocol, what are the disadvantages of this protocol, what is the layer, which layer you are using IP protocol, and then what are the different versions of IP version 4, IP version 6. That means you discussed those concepts. Now you are going to know about the TCP and then TCP IP protocol suite. After that, you will know about the UDP. Here, these all protocols used to establishing the internet communication. For establish the internet communication among the different IoT devices, you will use these three different protocols. Here IP, TCP. After that, you will know about the TCP IP protocol suite. After that, you will identify in the user datagram protocol. That means these are all used to establish in the internet connectivity between the different IoT devices. Here coming to the TCP. What is the exact TCP? Transmission Control Protocol. It is a transport layer protocol. If you see the right side diagram, you will identify the different layers. Link layer. In the TCP/IP protocol suite, you will identify the link layer, internet layer, transport layer, application layer. Here, TCP is a transport layer protocol, transmission control protocol, and then it is a transport layer protocol which provides some facilities. What are the facilities provided by the TCP? Transmission of packets from source to destination. If you have in the one computer client, other computer receiver or server, that means you will transmitting the packets from source to destination. For this purpose, you are using the TCP. How can you transmit the information? TCP takes the information from the application layer. From the application layer, here it forms a packet. That packet transmit to the other layer. That is a simple information, and then it is a connection oriented protocol. What is the meaning here? That means it establishing the prior communication. Here, for example, before sending the messages, you have to there is establishing the connection. After completion of sending the messages, you have to close the connection. That's why it is a connection oriented protocol. That means you have to establishing the connection prior to communication. That means right side diagram identifies that there is a client and then server is there. The client requests to set up the connection. Response, that means it is a that's how can you getting the request here by using some synchronization number. It sends you some number. Based on the number, the client number. After that, server gives a reply. What is the reply here? The number with the sequence number with the acknowledgement. After that, client and server sending the messages. That is a establishment of connection between the different IoT devices. And then this protocol used with the IP protocol. That means always it's a always you will use this protocol with IP protocol. So together they are called as a TCP IP. And then coming to the functionality of this protocol. What is the functionality of this protocol? To take the data from application layer. Here always taking the TCP main functionality here is a taking the data from the application layer and divide the data into several packets. Here taking the data from the application layer. The application layer, where it is application layer, on top of the transport layer, you have application layer is there. Takes the data from the application layer and then partitioning this data into several packets and provides a numbering to this packet. Finally, transmit this packet to destination. I think is it clear? First, it takes the information from the application layer and then divides the data into several packets and provides a numbering to this packet. Finally, transmit these packets to destination. That is a main important thing in a application TCP. And then not only that information here, it will reassemble the packets. Here, that means after that it is getting the reassemble the packets and then transmit to application layer. This information transmit to application layer. The TCP is a connection oriented protocol. So the connection remains established until the communication is not complete between a sender and receiver. If communication completed, it terminates the connection. If communication not completed, then you have to establish a connection between a client and server. That is a main important thing in a TCP. Coming to the features of TCP protocol. What are the features in a TCP protocol? TCP is a reliable protocol. And then order of data is maintained in a TCP. And then connection oriented. This is a one of the important features here is a connection oriented protocol. And then it is a full duplex protocol. And then stream oriented protocol. That is a simple features of this TCP protocol. The first important one, reliable protocol. It is a reliable protocol. Why it is reliable here? It's maintaining the flow control mechanism as well as the error control mechanism in a TCP. That means you are sending the packets from client to server or host, client to server. How can you send the packet here? The packet here is a it's having the based on the flow control mechanism. Flow control mechanism in the sense the TCP client sends a proper transmission of data from the sender to receiver. Here it's having the proper transmission of data. Coming to the error control. What is an error control here? Error control means the sender always, that means delivering the error-free data to the receiver. That is called here error control. Here the TCP maintains a flow control as well as the error control mechanism. That's why it is a reliable protocol. That means I think you have a great idea about computer networks. In the computer networks, you will identify the how can you establishing the flow control, how can you establishing the error control mechanism in a TCP. That is the proper transmission of data from the sender to receiver. That's why it is a reliable protocol, and then it supports a acknowledgement mechanism. That means it checks the state and the sound arrival of data. Here in this acknowledgement mechanism, the receiver sends a either positive or negative acknowledgement to the sender. That means always client receives a positive or negative acknowledgement. That means server, if it is a good, you are sending some information that is good, then it sends a positive acknowledgement. Here, if it is not good, it sends a negative acknowledgement. For example, your friend asking you, please give me 10,000. If you give, okay, then you give a positive acknowledgement. What is a positive acknowledgement? Thank you, Ram. Like that he is giving. If not, then he is giving negative acknowledgement. What is a negative acknowledgement? He is not responding anything. That is a negative acknowledgement to the server. That is kind of communication here, so that the sender can get to know whether the data packets has been received or needs to resend. That's a information, that is a reliability. Order of data is maintained. This protocol ensures that the data reaches the intended receiver in the same order which it is sent. The order and numbers each segment so that the TCP layer on the destination side can reassemble them based on their ordering. That means it is reassembled based on a particular ordering of information. Next important one, connection oriented. Connection oriented. Before that, you have to establish the connection. Before communication, the connection oriented service means the data exchange occur only after the establishment of connection. How can you establish the connection? The first client sends a sequence number, and then server receives the number, and then it sends the server own sequence number with the acknowledgement. Server sequence number with the acknowledgement. In this way, you will establishing the connection between a client and a server. Here, when a data transfer is completed, then the connection which gets terminated. Here, after establishing the connection only, you will you will send a data from the client to server, server to client. After that, finally, you have to close the connection. You have to first you have to establish the connection. You have to close the connection. That's why it is a reliable. Next, full duplex. TCP is a full duplex. Full duplex, simplex. Simplex means you will send data from X to Y only. Half duplex means you will send data from X to Y. After that, you will send data from Y to X. X to Y. After that, Y to X. What about the full duplex mode? Full duplex in the sense you will send a data transfer. Data can be transferred in both directions at the same time. Here, in this case, you will transfer the data simultaneously from the sender to receiver. You will transfer the data from the simultaneously at a time, just like a phone calls. If your person A made a call to B, here what is the thing here? A talking something. At the same time, we also talking something. The two different phone calls called as a full duplex communication. Here, in this way, you will establish the full duplex communication in a TCP. The next one is a stream oriented. The stream in the sense flow of data. The flow of data. TCP is a stream oriented protocol. It allows the sender to send a data in the form of stream of bytes. Here, always in the right side diagram shows that the stream of bytes always the TCP. Why? Because TCP takes the information from the application layer protocol. This information takes that one information and divided into different packets. After that, it sends the information to the other host, another host. Another host takes the information from the bottom layer and then reassemble that information and then send to the application layer. That process. I think this is a one computer. This is another computer, and then it allows the receiver to accept the data in the form of stream. Here, the sender sends a data in the form of stream of bytes, and then receiver takes the data in the form of stream of bytes. That's why it is a stream-oriented protocol. That means everything you are transferring from the sender to receiver to that means sender. That's in the form of bytes. Here stream bytes. That is a stream bytes. And then TCP is a stream-oriented protocol, as it allows the sender to send data in the form of stream of bytes. Okay, discuss that one. TCP creates an environment in which both sender and receiver connected by a tube known as a virtual circuit. Here, imaginary tube. Here you are taking the imaginary tube. That imaginary tube we call it as a virtual circuit. The virtual circuit carries a stream of bytes across the internet. Here you will identify a stream of bytes. If you open the command prompt, after that you will type the some IP address, then it's a gives a stream of bytes one after another. Everything transfer in the form of from the sender to receiver in form of bytes, and then working on TCP in a IoT system. Here how the working principle. Here in a TCP connection is established by using three-way handshaking. Here, what is the three-way handshaking? The client sends a request. Not like that. The client sends some sequence number, and then server receives that sequence number, and then the server sends again sequence number plus acknowledgement. After that, the client sends again acknowledgement. Here, this is called here three-way handshake. Here, the client sends the segment with its sequence number first. Here, in the right side diagram shows that it sends some bytes, it sends some segments. Here, sends a segment, and then the server sends a segment with the own number, the sequence number, own sequence number plus acknowledgement. It also sends a acknowledgement. Here in this diagram shows that first client sends a SYN. After that, server sends a SYN plus ACK. After that, client again sends a only ACK. Here, when the client receives the acknowledgement of its segment, then it sends a ACK to the server. That means just like a phone call, you are calling the hi, hello. After that, the receiver also sends a acknowledgement hi, hello. After that, you are getting the communication in this way. That is a way. In this way, the connection is established between a after that, the server receives that sequence number and then it sends its own sequence number as well as the acknowledgement. After that, clients again sends a sequence number. That is a establishment, the connection establishment process in a TCP. And then we have some advantages are there. Already discussed those advantages. It is a connection oriented reliable service. That means reliable service means there is a guarantee the delivery of packets. Here, this means that there is a guarantee. If packet is lost across the network, then TCP will resend the lost packet. Here, it provides a flow control mechanism using sliding window protocol. And then it's
Hello.
hello, ma, is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
హలో సార్ బ్రేక్ అవుతుంది సార్ మీ వాయిస్
బ్రేక్ అవుతుందా? ఇంటర్నెట్ కనెక్షన్ స్లోగా ఉందమ్మా.
ఓకే సార్ ఓకే సార్
ఓకే, వాతావరణం కూల్ గా ఉన్నట్టుంది.
కూల్ ఉంది సార్ తిరుపతిలో కూడా.
ఇప్పుడు ఓకేనా?
ఇప్పుడు ఓకే సార్.
ఓకే అమ్మా, దీస్ ఆర్ ఆల్ సమ్ ఆఫ్ ది అడ్వాంటేజెస్. హియర్ congestion by using network congestion avoidance algorithms. Here, these are all some of the advantages of TCP. And then disadvantages also there. It increases the large amount of overhead. Why? Because every time you have to establish the connection, you have to terminate the connection. In case of video streaming, that takes a large amount of space. That's why it takes a large amount of overhead as the segment gets its own TCP header. So fragmentation by the router increases the overhead. That is one disadvantages of TCP. And then if you refer these sites, and then the next important one, you completed the TCP, you completed the IP, then you have to know about the TCP/IP protocol suite. Here, TCP/IP protocol suite here, the communication protocol used in the internet similar to the computer network. That means in the IoT system, among the IoT systems also, the communication similar to computer network. It is a commonly known as a TCP/IP because the fundamental protocols in this suite are the TCP as well as the IP. That means the communication always establishing the in a different IoT devices by using TCP as well as the IP. That's why it is called here TCP/IP suite. Here, the Internet Protocol suite provides a end-to-end data communication. The specifying how data should be packed and addressed are transmitted, routed, and received. Here, that is a thing. And then the functionality is organized into 4 layers. Here, if you identify the 4 layers, link layer, and then internet layer, and then transport layer, finally application layer. Here, organizing this protocol into different layer. Here in the link layer, you'll identify the Ethernet, and then internet layer will identify the IP, and then transport layer you will identify the TCP and UDP. Finally, application layer you have a HTTP, POP3, SMTP, MQTT, DNS, DHCP, and then voice over IP. Like that, you have a different protocols available in a protocol suite. And then if you come from the lowest level, you have a link layer is there. Link layer having the Ethernet and then Wi-Fi. Here, what is a link layer? The link layer containing the communication methods for data that remains within a single network segment. Always, that means the in the OSI reference model, the physical layer and data link layer combined together as a link layer. Here coming to the second important internet layer or network layer. Here provides in the internet internet working between a independent networks. Here internet communication, it establishes the communication by using IP protocol. And then this is a transport layer protocol, next important. Here it establishing the host to host communication. Here for doing that host to host communication, TCP you are using as well as the UDP. The next we will discuss about the UDP. And then the very important one, application layer. Application layer providing the process to process data exchange for the applications. Here that is a simple information about the different layers in a IP protocol suite. These are all different layers in a IP protocol suite. Here the what is the representation? The what is the link layer? How can you establish the link? The communication methods. What is the internet layer? How can you establish the communication? And then transport layer, host to host communication, and then application layer. Application layer maintains a process to process communication. The next important one, very important concept in this case, user datagram protocol, UDP. Here, what is a UDP? TCP is a connection oriented protocol. There is a possibility of establishment of connection, and there is a possibility here. Sends a SYN, after that receives a SYN plus ACK, again sends a SYN. That is a TCP. But UDP is a connectionless protocol. UDP stands for, what is the UDP? User Datagram Protocol. It's developed by David P. Reed, and then in the year 1980, and then it's deployed in RFC 768. It is a part of TCP/IP protocol. Why? Because for establishing the connection main protocol, TCP as well as the UDP, TCP as well as the IP. Here IP also communicate with the UDP. That's why UDP and IP. So it is a standard protocol over the internet. UDP protocol allows the computer application to send messages in the form of datagrams. Here in the TCP in the form of packets. Here you are sending the data in the form of datagrams from the mission to one mission to another mission over the internet protocol network. UDP is an alternative for the TCP. Why? Because the work, what is the difference between UDP and TCP? It is a connection oriented protocol TCP. This one UDP is a connection less protocol. That is a different. Other thing here is a alternative communication. Like a TCP, UDP provides a set of rules that governs how data should be exchanged over the internet. For data exchangement, you are using this information. Here, the UDP works by encapsulating the data into packets, providing its own header information to the packet. Then this UDP packet is encapsulated to the IP packet. Encapsulating into the IP packet means here if you receive the IP packet, in addition to IP packet, it sends some header information. That is called here segment, and send this information to the destination. Both TCP and UDP sends a data over the internet protocol network. So it is known as a TCP IP and UDP IP. There are many differences between the two different protocols, UDP as well as the TCP. TCP is a process, UDP is a process to process communication. Here TCP host to host communication, and then UDP sends a messages in the form of datagram, but TCP sends a message in the form of packets. Here, other important thing here is a TCP is a connection oriented. This is a connection less protocol. The requirement for the UDP. What are the requirements here? UDP is a unreliable protocol. Unreliable. That means there is no guarantee whether a particular data reach the destination or not. Here it is. That's why it is an unreliable protocol. TCP is a reliable protocol, but you still require UDP in some cases. In which cases you require UDP? Here you are sending the data. That data will receive or not, you don't know. But even though you require the UDP in some cases, what are the cases here? Here UDP is a deployed where packets requires a large amount of bandwidth along with the actual data. For example, in a video streaming, acknowledging the thousands of packets is troublesome and waste lot of bandwidth. That means in the video streaming, every time you are giving the acknowledgement in the sense, and that takes a lot of that takes a lot of bandwidth. In case of video streaming, the loss of some packets could not create a problem. Here, even though it is lost, it's not create a problem. It can be ignored. That's why in the cases you require the UDP protocol, and then in this case the header format of UDP protocol. Here this is a header format here. This format consists of different components: source port, destination port, length, checksum, and then it's having the what is the source number. It is a 16-bit information that 16-bit in the sense 2 bytes that identifies the which port is ignored to send the packet. The destination port number, which identifies the which port is going to accept the information. The second one, destination port. Here it is a 16-bit information which is used to identify the application level services on the destination mission. That is a representation of destination port. And then length here 2 bytes of length is there, which specify the entire length of a UDP packet. That includes header also. The minimum value for the would be 8 bytes as the size of it. Coming to the checksum, what is the necessity of checksum here? If data is accurate or not, for knowing that information, you are using the 16 bits checksum field. And then queuing UDP. That means what is the queuing UDP here? Numbers are used to distinguish different processes on the server and client. That means it is sending one number. After that, it receiving number plus acknowledgement. That is the thing. You know that UDP provides a process to process communication. Numbers are very important. Where it is important here for distinguish the different processes. Here, UDP provides a process to process communication. That's why the client generates a process that needs a services while server generates a process that provides a services. Here, the queue are available for the both processes. Here, in this case, you will have the two different queues are there. Here, in the queuing, you have a two different queues. The first queue is incoming. Here, if you see here diagram, first queue for the client, first queue having the incoming queue that receives the messages, and then the second queue is the outgoing queue that sends a messages. See here, the diagram indicates the incoming queue, outgoing queue, two different queues available in a UDP. And then the queue function when process is running. If the process is running, the queue functioning. If process is terminated, then the queue also gets destroyed. If process is running, that means at the time of running the process, Then only the queue existed. If the process terminated, the queue gets destroyed. That is a thing. And then the UDP handles
అంతే
the
అటెండెన్స్ పోయిందనుకో వేస్ట్ కదా మనకు జాబ్ వచ్చి కూడా
UDP handles the sending and receiving the UDP packets with the help of following components. These are all different components: input queue, input module, control block module, control block table, output module. These are all different components for the UDP. That means handles the sending and receiving of packet. Here, what is the input queue? Here uses a set a queue for the each process. Input module. What is the input module here? Takes the user datagram from the IP and then it finds the information from the control block table of the same port. That is a input module. Coming to the control block module, manages the control block table. Control block table contains the entry of open port. Output module is another one. Output module sends the user datagram. Some of the disadvantages by using this UDP. What are the disadvantages? In this case, it is a unreliable. It's a unreliable delivery service. It does not provide any service to service of IP except UDP messages may be lost. Another disadvantage is here is a UDP messages may be lost or may be delayed or may be duplicated, can be out of order. It does not provide a reliable transport delivery service. It does not provide any acknowledgement or flow control mechanism. It does not provide a error control mechanism. Whatever may be the information, that means there is no guarantee. It's not reliable. That's a UDP. One advantages are there. It provides a minimum number of overheads. In case of data streaming, in case of video streaming, that is a simple information about the UDP. Here, if you need references, see the references. Thank you. Here, in this session, you are going to know about the differences between a TCP and UDP. Very important topic here. What are the differences here? The type of connection. The TCP maintains a which type of connection? Connection oriented. That means TCP is a connection oriented protocol. What is a connection oriented protocol here? Which means that the connection needs to be established before the data transmit over the network. Here, that means free communication or before free communication, you are going to establish the connection between a server as well as the client. That's why it is called here connection oriented communication. Here, coming to the UDP is a connectionless communication. Here, this is a connectionless protocol. What is a connectionless protocol here? It sends data without checking whether system is ready to receive or not. Here, always sending data. It cannot irrespective of anything. Irrespective of anything, it always sending the data. Here, that is called here connectionless service. And then reliability. Here, coming to the reliability, TCP is a reliable protocol. Why it is reliable protocol here? It provides a assurance for delivery of packets. Here, there is a connection establishment is there. Connection establishment in the sense server and client establishing the connection. That means there is a guarantee that the particular packet delivered to the particular destination. That's why it is a reliable protocol. UDP is an unreliable protocol. Why it is unreliable protocol? It does not take the guarantee for the delivery of packets. Here, that is a important thing. That means there is no guarantee here. Why? Because it does not establish the connection. Here, why? Because it does not checking the whether the particular destination is having the connected or not. You cannot check, and then it will send a data. That is a unreliability. The unreliability maintained by the UDP. Here, speed. The TCP is slower than the UDP. Compared to this UDP, it is a slower. Why? Because there is a connection establishment process is there in the TCP. There is a flow control mechanism is there in TCP. Flow control mechanism in the sense the proper data sent to the source to destination. That means always TCP sending the proper data. That's why that's a slower. And then error checking by using checksum, whether particular, that means in order checking the information, error checking mechanisms are there. That's why, and not only that one here provides a assurance for the delivery of packets. Delivery of packets. That's why it is a, that means you have to check the all these concepts. That's why it is a slower than the UDP. And then UDP is a faster. What is why it is faster here? Does not guarantee that delivery of packets. Yeah, there is no guarantee. For example, I am having a for example, I am telling you one thing here. I am taking the book post or speed post or general book post or speed post. I am doing the speed post. Speed post in the sense there is a guarantee that I am paying the more money and then they will give a slip. Here TCP is a just like a speed post. Coming to the UDP, general post, there is a guarantee. There is no guarantee whether the particular cover will reach the destination or not. Header size. The size of the TCP is a 20 bytes. The size of the UDP is a 8 bytes. And then acknowledgement. The TCP uses a three-way handshaking. What is the three-way handshaking? First, establishing a connection. That means for establishing the connection, client sends a sequence number, and then server receives that sequence number, and server again sends a sequence number with a acknowledgement, and then again the client sends a acknowledgement. This is called here three-way handshaking process here. Here the sender always receives the acknowledgement, then the sender will send a data. TCP has the ability to resend the last data packets. That means it's having the acknowledgement mechanism in a TCP. That is a main reason you are using the TCP protocol. TCP very reliable protocol. UDP is not wait for the acknowledgement. Here it's not wait for the acknowledgement. It just sends the data. It always sending the data only. That means that's why it is not a reliable protocol. That means you are not having any acknowledgement mechanism in a UDP. And then the flow control mechanism. What is the flow control mechanism? The sender will transfer the proper data. The flow control by using this is a, that means in the computer network you have the flow control mechanism. What is the meaning? This one sender always sends a proper data. It follows the flow control mechanism in which too many packets cannot be sent to the receiver at the same time. Why? Because it sends a one packet. After getting acknowledgement, again it sends another packet. It's not sending the too many packets at a time. That means it sends a proper data to the server. And then UDP. This protocol does not follow the flow control mechanism. Coming to the TCP having the error control mechanism. Here, what is the error control mechanism here? You will perform in the error control mechanism error checking by using checksum. When the data is corrupted, then data is retransmitted to the receiver. That is a advantages in a TCP. Here, the UDP does not perform any error checking and also does not resend the loss of packet. That is it. That means even though these advantages are there, UDP is faster than the TCP. That is one of the advantages. These are all references. If you need, in the next class, we will discuss about the IP addresses. What is the IP address? What are the different IP addresses available? And then what is the format of IP address? And then you have two different addresses are there. IP version 4 as well as the IP version 6. IP version 4 is in the format. That means it's having the 32 addresses, 2 power 32 addresses are there. That means that's having the different addresses and then IP version 6 having the 2 power 128 addresses are there. That means you will discuss about the different information regarding the IP addresses in the next class. Okay, thank you.